Hey, this is Kevin David Rail, Chief Fitness Advisor for Wild Warrior Nutrition. And today we're going to be talking about 5 secret fitness tips to help build a six-pack. Now understand something. These are some of my personal favorite secret tips that I'm going to unveil to you. And it doesn't mean that they're 100% accurate and they're going to apply to everybody or they're going to work to a T. But through my 25 plus years in the health and fitness industry, they've worked great for me, and I want to share some of them with you. And some of these may sound similar to what you've already known. Some might be brand new to you. But also remember this, and this is key. You must take care of your diet. You can't expect to get great results in the gym or outside in the streets or wherever in fields working out if you don't pay attention to your diet. You got to keep your diet clean, and you got to think in terms of calorie restriction at times to burn away the fat to build a six-pack in the first place. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Secondly, there's no such thing as spot reduction. A lot of these things I'm going to talk to you about, it's going to be focusing on the abs to a degree, but more so generally through the whole entire body and working more on your core. And that's a key thing that you got to think about when it comes to building a six-pack. It's not just doing crunches. It's not just holding planks. It's not just doing sit-ups. You've got to do the whole package deal. You have calorie restriction, you got clean diet, you've got cardio, you've got high-intensity exercise, and you've got ab exercises all combined together. So, with all that being said, let's get down to some of my secret tips. One of which is this. Especially if you have a mountain bike, I suggest you do this. Ride up steep hills, okay? And I'm talking about like long ones. I am lucky enough to live in Park City, Utah, the site of the 2002 Winter Olympics. And the Olympic Training Center and the Olympic Park are right down the road from me, about 5 minutes away. And what I like to do in the summertime to get a really good ab workout is I will ride my bike all the way down to where the ski jump is located. And there's this really long, winding, steep hill to get to the top of that place to start with. And I have a mountain bike with rather wide tires on it. And when I ride up that hill all the way to the top, it's like 1.2 miles, I am absolutely crushed. And after doing that a couple times, I started doing that maybe 5 years ago, right at the end of winter when we'd have these warm days, and it was like mid to late March. It would be warm outside, but there'd still be snow on the trails and everything and mud. And I'm like, I want to take my mountain bike out. I'm itching for a ride. So what I did is I just found some roads, and the sun was shining, and I bundled up, and I went out, and I started riding. And what I found out was when I went on these really high, long, grueling uphill climbs, my abs were killing me the next day. And they were solid as a rock, and they felt defined. And I was like, holy smoke, that was one ride I did. I'm like, what if I integrated this into my actual workouts through all the rest of the months as well? So now when summer comes around, me and my girlfriend Jen will sometimes jump on our bikes, and we'll go do a hill climb, and we'll do it 2 or 3 times, or we'll find a place where there's a lot of long, grueling, steep hills to climb up. So when you have a mountain bike, and you got knobby tires, and the tires are wider, and they're gripping on the dirt, on the blacktop instead of dirt, you're getting a lot of force and tension in your abs. And remember, ab training is all about building tension. It's not about doing lots of small, choppy reps. It's a lot of high-intensity tension. And a secondary effect of when you're riding up a steep hill on a mountain bike is you're breathing huge amounts of air in, and you're sucking your stomach in, and you're pushing it in, you're pulling it in, and back and forth. And I've been in aerobics classes in years past, years ago when I first started getting into training. And the instructor would always say, pull in your abs, suck in your stomach, suck in your stomach. And I'm like, that's just a weird cue for me. But I promise you this, when you start riding up steep hills on a mountain bike especially, and you're standing and you're grinding away, you're going to squeeze your abs to a pulp. And it has a lot to do with your breathing and sucking in your stomach and exhaling really forcefully. And when you exhale and inhale really forcefully, you're automatically working these muscles on the side of your rib cage called the intercostals, also known as the breathing muscles. And you can look that up personally if you don't believe me. So, a lot of the breathing and a lot of that high-intensity tension is going to be fortuitous to help build a six-pack. So get on your mountain bikes, go up steep hills. If you don't have a mountain bike, use a road bike, but I fancy the mountain bike for more tension. Okay, that was tip number 1. Secondly, in lieu of what I just said, sprint intervals. I absolutely feel nothing more exciting or greater than when I do 20 minutes of sprint intervals, especially running uphill. So we're coming back to the hills again. And when I say sprint intervals, I'm talking about running. Running specifically for me, I feel devastated after I do a sprint interval workout, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, from head to toe. But again, my abs just feel amazing, solid as a rock. And while you're sprinting and going all out, you again have to have that same effect similar to when you're riding a bike. You have to squeeze the pulp out of your abs to keep yourself in good alignment and to do that high-intensity breathing. So you get a twofold effect. Not to mention, the climbing of the hills on bikes and running are 2 really good forms of cardiovascular exercise where you're going to burn a ton of fat, and you're going to strip away a lot of that fat in front of your stomach to expose your six-pack, okay? So those are 2 smoking gun things right there. Now, if you don't have hills, say you live in Florida, say you live in Long Island, New York, and you don't have hills to run on, you can just do sprints on flat ground. You're still going to get the effect. I happen to love hills. And if you have neither one of those options available because the weather is so crappy outside, then go to your local gym, find yourself a treadmill, crank it up to here, and then just do sprint intervals on it. Both of those applications will work just fine, okay? Tip number 3, kettlebell Turkish get-ups. Start out light, start out small, and grow gradually up until you're getting up into the heavier and heavier weights. I'm getting to a point now where I've gotten up to about 40 kilogram, which is 88 pounds. And when you're doing Turkish get-ups, you lie on your back and your arm is extended like this, up in front of your chest. And immediately when you do this, your abs are engaged. They have to be in order for you to balance that weight right here. And as you go through the whole process of a Turkish get-up, they should always be done slow and controlled, never rushed. When you're doing those Turkish get-ups, you're getting a ton of ab contraction going on. All that stabilization and all that tension is happening. And the heavier you go with the weights, the more that's going to transfer to your abdominal wall. So, do Turkish get-ups. I like to do sets of like 5 each arm. I alternate back and forth at the end of workouts sometimes. And that is like, I would say about 10 minutes worth of ab tension, which you can't get by just doing sets of crunches because they're too short and choppy. So doing heavy Turkish get-ups with kettlebells is one of the best things you could possibly do for your abs, and that is a secret for the six-pack. Also, your heart rate really starts getting up after you start turning that kettlebell from side to side. When you get into like reps 3 and 4, your heart rate's going to be starting to go through the roof. So you're going to burn a decent amount of calories as well, strip away more of that fat, and help expose the six-pack. Okay? Number 4, tension with off-balance training exercises. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're doing barbell clean and presses. Okay? That is a good exercise in itself because it is a compound movement, and you're grabbing a barbell, you're pulling it up to here, and then you're pushing it up over your head. And when you have to hold it here and push it over your head, you're getting a good amount of ab tension. You're also getting a good amount of work being done throughout your whole entire body. But we can turn that up a notch by doing this. What if we took one dumbbell, not a barbell, held it in our right hand and lifted our right leg, and then we lowered it down toward our left foot, and then we pulled it up to here while keeping our right foot off the ground, and then we pressed it in the air. And then we did the same exact thing. We tucked it in, we crossed over to the midline of our body, lowered it down toward the left side, brought it up, and pressed it again. Exercises like that are off balance are going to cause a high amount of tension in the abs. That's a smoking gun too. If you did 5 reps on this arm, 5 reps on this arm, you not only did a shoulder exercise, but you did balance as well, but you also did a core exercise, and you got a high amount of ab tension going on. And another drill you can do, come down into a plank position, 2 dumbbells beneath you with your hands on the dumbbells. Simply lift one up like this, rotate to the side, and do a T-press, like that. Lower it back down, turn to the other side, do a T-press. Do 5 each arm, and I promise you, your abs are going to be just gassed, all right? So if you do the math there, if you did like 5 sets of that first drill I mentioned from the top position and 5 from the bottom position, you're going to get lean, ripped muscle in your whole upper body, including your shoulders, including your arms, and especially including your abs, okay? So think in terms of those off-balance drills where you have a high amount of tension going on with your abs, and your abs have to fire up and stabilize your body while you're doing something else, okay? And that's a big reason why I like those 3-dimensional movement patterns that I talk about often. They are highly engaging to the abs, all right? Okay, so there's 4. Last thing, number 5, in my secret smoking tips to build a six-pack, hanging exercises. I did a whole entire video over the summer on hanging and brachiation and all these different things and all the benefits that occur from it. And one of the things I alluded to, but I didn't go deep into the weeds, was the benefit it has on the abs. So if you're doing any exercise from a hanging position, holding onto a pull-up bar or any kind of apparatus above you, I don't care if it's a beam or if it's a tree branch or if it's an open stairway or the ledge of a deck, anything that you do from a hanging position is going to really fire up your abs. And you talk about that tension, just hanging alone causes a lot of tension in the abs. Now once you hang from that position and you do pull-ups, you have to squeeze the pulp out of your abs to generate the force to pull your chin up over the bar. And when you come down and back up over and over again, even a set of 5 of slow and controlled pull-ups is going to have a high amount of tension on your abs. So that is brilliant. If you're hanging from a bar and you do skin to cats, you pull your knees up over your head like this and backwards and back down and back and forth. That's a brilliant exercise to build the abs. Hanging leg raises, hanging knee raises, windshield wipers hanging from the bar. Any type of exercise hanging from a bar is going to be super beneficial to help you build a six-pack. Back in history, this was called off-the-ground training, and it was highly fancied by everyone, and everyone had really good posture, and they were all lean, and the hallmark was everybody had a six-pack. It wasn't even a question, because they would spend 1.5 to 2 hours doing off-the-ground training while someone spotted them. So, that right there, my friends, is your 5 secret smoking tips to build a six-pack. I'll reiterate all of them. Ride up steep hills on your mountain bike. Do sprint intervals. Do Turkish get-ups with kettlebells. If you don't have kettlebells, use any kind of apparatus that has weight, whether it's a barbell or dumbbell, and you're safe with them. Make sure to do off-balance drills where tension is involved with your abs. And lastly, do all kinds of hanging exercises, also known as off-the-ground training. Okay? Till next time, this is Kevin David Rail, Chief Fitness Advisor for Wild Warrior Nutrition. Let me know if you have any questions or comments.